and welcome. Quick checks are short, ungraded questions that help students to pause, reflect, and actually absorb what they're learning. Think of them like tiny knowledge pit stops before they move on to the next topic. Quick check questions and other self-assessment interactives are simple ways to help students test their understanding of the materials in real time. There's a lot of research out there about the value of quick checks, and to over-summarize, students engage better when they're doing something, not just reading. Quick checks help students with memory and retention, so remembering information. And every time a student completes a mini goal or a mini quick check question, their brain gets a hit of dopamine. So your course could literally make students feel good about learning. But you also need to find the right amount of balance here. So you want to put quick check questions in natural pause points in the course. So after key concepts or before moving on to the next topic, maybe right after a video. You can also pair them with reflection questions or checklists to boost metacognition. You also want to be sure to keep it simple. Don't overwhelm students with too many quick checks because it can get confusing kind of fast. If you're using true or false or multiple choice questions, give students immediate feedback on it, even if it's just a sentence explaining why the answer is right or wrong. And if you want to make sure that students don't skip them, you can set some of these so that students are required to answer the question before they move on to the next page. And there are several different ways you can use that too. All right, so let's look at some examples here. So I just have these 4 examples in tabs here so that you can see what they look like on a Canvas page. So these are flip cards that we can use for flashcards. So when you flip them over, you can show the definition of the term and students can practice them that way. Again, if you have more than probably 8 terms, then these probably aren't the most practical thing to have on a Canvas page. But if you have less than maybe 8 terms, this is a great way to help students retain information in terms of, keywords and making sure they understand what's happening. These ones can't be graded again. None of them can be. You also can't require students to flip over each of these flip cards, but you can give them a direction telling them to. True or false questions are just simple, ask a question. The student indicates if it's true or false. You can require students to answer a true or false question, but they don't have to necessarily answer it correctly to move on to the next page. The same is true for multiple choice questions, and you can have as many answer possibilities as you want here, but only, I think, one of the answers can be set to be the correct answer. So you can check the answer, and then this is where your feedback would display. And then you can also do fill in the blank questions using the input tool. So you can have students enter the definition of a word or whatever else you can think of to use this for on your Canvas pages as well. And it instantly gives them the check mark to say they're good to go, that they got it right. But these ones, again, cannot be graded and they cannot be required either. All right, so let's go through how to add each of these to your Canvas page then. So I just am going to go to edit my page and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page underneath my examples that I gave. Make the window bigger. Okay, so we'll just give ourselves a little bit more space under how to add them. Okay, so flip cards were the first one we did. So we can go to add new elements and we can just search for flip cards and just choose to add a flip card. So this will give you the front and back card. So you can just add whatever you want to the front and back of the card there. If you wanted maybe the pre-formatted one like I showed, you can also do that through an HTML snippet. So flashcards. So we did the snippet and then chose flashcards, and these ones will give you a pre-formatted list in columns of 4, so you don't have to figure out you don't have to fight the columns, I guess. So those ones are pretty easy to add and integrate, and you can just edit these terms however you want, like you normally would. The next one was a true or false question. So the true or false and multiple choice questions can be added if you just search for quick check. You can find the interactive quick check box. So this is the default option that it gives you. And then if you go over to quick check, you'll have answer 1, answer 2. You can add, I think, as many answer possibilities as you want. And then over here in this content panel is where you select what answer is the correct one. So we'll say answer 3 is correct, and then it'll update that response down here. And then this is also where you can add your feedback if the answer is correct or incorrect. Then if you go to this advanced panel, you can choose to hide the next button at the bottom of the page until the student answers the quick check question. Note that if students go back to the modules page and choose the next page from the modules page, they'd still be able to go to the next page. It just hides the next button on this page until they answer it. So there are ways around it, but it's usually pretty unlikely that students would go 5 clicks out of their way to avoid answering a question, but maybe they would. Either way, it's a good way to ensure that students are engaging with the material and making sense of it. And then if you decide you only want to have 2 options or make a true and false question, you can just delete some of these extra ones and have true and false as your answer choices here. There are also a lot of template quick check formats that you can check out. There's some under content blocks, and then under HTML snippets, I also have the true or false one already formatted for you if you wanted to just quickly add the true or false question in there. So you have that. And then again, you can go to template content and find all sorts of other options for true and false and multiple choice questions. The last one is the input text area. So this one's a little trickier. It's a newer sidebar feature, but it goes with the input tool. So we'll search for add new element input and we'll choose input. So it'll say input label text input. So you want to have a text input field, and then you want to also enable a correct answer. So maybe we say, these videos are so, and then we say the correct answer is, and then to get back over to your input field, you have to be clicked within it. And then we'll say helpful. And you can say if you want it to be case sensitive or not, or if you want to make it larger or smaller width. In general, though, you want to leave the input label there for screen readers. And if you want an example with a snippet, that gives you a little bit more direction for what you're up to and what you can do. You can also do the fill in the blank. So it gives you a little bit more direction there, but you can do it either way, whatever way works best for you. If you want a variety of different questions, you could also do a question set, and I have that set up as an HTML snippet as well. So if you go to Snippets, you can do the question set. So it'll have options 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then each of those 4 different question types that I went through is a default on each one of those pages. So I'll add that to the thing again so you can see what that looks like. And that would be really good at like the bottom of a learning materials page or something like that. And then other snippets for some of these interactives are also available. So we can do checkboxes, like if you want students to check off that they are ready to progress. That's another fun way to use snippets. So you can say, are you ready to progress? And then, yes, I understand this content. Great, you can go ahead to the next module. Or I'm not sure. And then you can say something like, consider going back and reviewing this module again, or reaching out to me with your questions. So lots of different snippet options for you to think about and build on. You could use checkboxes for things like just to say, hey, I did all of the things on this page, or a confirmation check. I reviewed all of the materials in this section. Or maybe you want to include some bonus material. That's another great thing to put in a flip card. So you can do all sorts of different things with some of these snippet options. And I encourage you to go check those out and let me know what one's your favorite. So I will save this page again so we can go over what it looks like one more time. Okay, so this is the one I shared with you earlier. This is the plain card that I added without any additional formatting. So just what it looks like when you go add in your flip card. The default quick check. The are you ready to progress? This is just another quick check, but instead of being a question, it's more of a progress check, so they can, gauge their understanding on their own that way. And then this area down here was the question set HTML snippet. So we have question 1 for the flip cards. Question 2 is the true or false. 3 is the fill in the blank, and 4 is a multiple choice question. And you can just copy those tabs if you want more questions of a certain type or what have you. So whether you're designing a new course or updating an old one, quick checks are a really small change with a big impact for students. So try adding one today, and your students and their brains will thank you.